This is Max from VanVenture. Thanks so much for renting one of our vans. What we're going to do is do a quick orientation video where I'll walk you through the van and all the gear that's included. The goal is so that we'll go through the orientation video now, so that when we meet you in person to do checkout, we'll save time and it'll be quick and we'll get you on the road. For the orientation video, it's broken down into 3 parts. We're going to go over the van cab, kind of how the van drives, and some gear that's included in case of like an emergency. We'll go over this middle section here where we have the power, the water source, and some bedding under here. And then the last part we'll go through is the gear in the back. I'd say part 3, the gear in the back that has the stove, the sink, and then all the gear that's included. So for part 1, I'd say the van drives like a small SUV. You're able to park in any normal size spot. The only thing worth calling out is that with no windows here, in the back corners you have blind spots. To help mitigate those blind spots, we have these tiny mirrors here that you are able to see what's on the side of you and behind you at all times. So we always just recommend using those as much as you can to help keep you safe on the road. And if you come on in, so for the van cab, it really, like I said, drives like a small SUV. The van's an automatic. Your e-brake is here. Some things worth noting, inside the glove box is where you have your registration in case you're to get pulled over in here. Also have the owner's manual if needed. You have the auxiliary cord so that you could plug in here if you need tunes. This radio also has CD and Bluetooth, so if you want to connect your phone that way, you're more than welcome to. Other than that, you got a phone mount here so you can keep your eyes on the road, hands-free. Fast track included up here, and so you can go across either bridge, Bay Bridge or Golden Gate, and we'll cover the tolls for that. That's included in your rental, so that's on us. Some of the emergency gear I mentioned. So if you're out and your tires are low, we have this small air compressor that plugs into the cigarette lighter. It also will check tire pressure if you get the low tire sensor light. And also for tire pressure, you have the PSI sticker here so you know what tire pressure is needed on the front and the back. Other emergency gear, you got a portable battery jumper here. So if you get a dead battery, this will jump you right up without needing another car. And then also, you have the tire chains here. So if you're in the snow, you got tire chains back here. And the van is front wheel drive, so those 2 tire chains would go on the 2 front tires. And then behind the passenger seat, you have the floor jack and the wrench to get to the spare. And I'll show you how to get to the spare when we do the back part of the van tour. For the hood, you use the same key that is used for the van in the ignition. To pop it, you have to go left and then right. So there's no latch that you'd reach for. And if you need to access the hood, it'd really just be for checking the oils, checking the radiator or the windshield wiper, radiator fluid for some of the longer trips. We always recommend checking those when you stop. Also, this key opens the gas tank on that side, and the van is regular normal gas, not diesel, and it's the lowest grade, 85 or 87, depending on where you are. Awesome, so for part 2, we're gonna go over the external battery for your power source, and then the bedding that goes over the mattress. For the battery, so this is like a big, imagine like a micro battery charger that you charge your phone with. But what it does is it turns on here. You'll see right now it's full, and this cord that's plugged in is for the lights, the LED lights. And to use the power, you have to turn the light switch on here. But if you wanted to unplug the lights and plug something else in here to charge, you totally can. Or if you wanted to use these USB ports, and they also have a 12-volt port. The only call out is, as you saw, you have to turn the buttons on, and you'll see the green lights on to use that source. And you'll see that the battery is full right now. The battery will last anywhere from 1 to 2 days, depending on what you're charging with it. And to charge this battery up once it's dead, there's a few different options. The first is this power cord that plugs in here, and this would plug into a wall power outlet if you have a campsite. That's probably the fastest way to do it. The second way is we've included this converter that plugs into the cigarette lighter, and so you could plug the power into there and then up to the cigarette lighter while you're driving. And that's probably the second fastest option. It's just important to know when you're charging it while driving to make sure everything stays plugged in, because sometimes these tend to become unplugged when you stretch it from here to there. And the third option is a solar panel. So if you're stopped for a while and you want to throw solar up there, or if you don't want to use the car battery, you can use the solar panel. The only thing worth calling out on this is that it takes a little bit longer. So it's probably the slowest of the three options. And then for the bedding, you'll see we have the bedding out here. You have this mattress topper first that we put over all the mattresses. And what that does is it kind of pulls the cushions close together so you don't fall in between them when sleeping. It also adds about a ½ inch of more padding to the bed. The second is the clean sheets here. So we got your clean sheets, top sheet, fitted sheet, pillowcases here. Pillows are over there. And then the third is the rumpled down blanket, which is super warm. So you'll have that to stay warm. Also for warmth, the vans are insulated behind this wood with denim, and we've had it camped in probably between like 20-degree weather with minimal layering, and has been pretty insulated. So for overall warmth, you should be good there. The only other call out here is we include a water jug, and I'll show you more how that's used in the back on the next part. And then on the other side here, we'll have the propane, which I'll also show you more on part 3. Awesome. Part 3 and the final part, we're going to go over the gear that's included in the van. On the camping gear on this side, stove and sink on this side. We'll start with the stove and sink. So as I mentioned, for the water jug over there, it kind of just sits above here, and you could use it as needed. The sink's really more of a basin, so if you wanted to wash stuff in here, you can. And it also drains right under here. So if you're washing food or meat or anything, just know it's going to drain right below as a call out in case you're worried about bears or anything. And for the stove, we include the propane tank, which is located on that side there, kind of bungeed up against it. The propane will always be full. And so to make the stove work, you just set it right below here. This line comes down from right here, and it just hooks up like a normal propane line. To light the stove, turn the propane on low here, turn the knobs to light, and then when you push them in, that'll release gas, and then you can light it with a barbecue lighter that's included in this gear side here. Awesome, and I'm going to show you the gear, but a few things we forgot to call out. When you're in the back of the van, you can hit these knobs here, and that releases the door to open 180 degrees. So if you wanted more room to work around the drawers, that's how you would pop the door open. Also, as I mentioned, how the floor jack is behind the passenger seat, also is the wrench to get to the spare. And to get to the spare, you just lift this cap up. There's a bolt here that the spare is essentially held up by, and you would just turn this and it would lower the spare. So if you were to get a flat and you had to change it yourself, that's how you would do it. And so if you come on in, here's all the gear here. And what's included is on this side, we have all the cookware, which includes pots, pans, frying pan, knives, silverware, cutting board, barbecue lighter, coffee maker, tongs, grill, everything you need to cook. Essentially, we include everything you need except for like ingredients to cook. And on this side, we have water filter. This is kind of more for emergency on the road. If you wanted to, it's a bag that you'd fill up with water, let it hang, and it'd filter for fresh water. Clean towels, eye mask, first aid kit. We include wet wipes, dish soap, hand sanitizer, sponge, and then a coffee ground case if you wanted to store fresh coffee grounds and keep them fresh. And that's mostly it for the gear. So for next steps, we'll meet in person. We'll do a quick walkthrough where we'll mark the miles and the fuel level, and then we'll sign the checkout form. And then the only other thing we ask is we just kind of bring the van back in similar condition, and we have full return instructions laminated up in the dash to follow. Thanks again. Have a great trip.